Well, hello there, everybody. How are y'all doing? I hope you're doing as well as I feel the energy is, which is very positive, upbeat. So, hey, I'm just going to take it and roll with it. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for, hey, dropping in, participating. It's always much more fun if everybody gets in, enjoys, you know, full participation. Yeah. As I get everything here. Okie dokie. And there we go. Looks good. Hello, chat room. How are y'all doing? So many beautiful, beautiful souls in here. Um, Rick, that is good news, bro. Gonna tell you what, cancer free. Way to go. Chloe, grand rising to you, dear. And Joyce, and let's see, Ginger, how are you? Brian, good to see you, brother, as well. Deborah, how are you? Trust all is well at home. Kent, good to see you. CJ, up early in the morning down there, I see. Well, it's an honor to have you here, my friend. Absolutely. Who's else hanging out? Brian, good to see you as well. And Jet, as I roll down here, Drum, how are you doing? Steven says, I know you can talk to the other side. I do it all the time. And there's so many other sides too, Stephen. We got the one perception that, well, you know, the veil of death, leads to, I don't know, we have debated in here if death is the end result of life, but life is so short, which is more eternal? Anyway, and then you got the dimension thing. Yeah, we're going to get into that. But it's going to be fun. Dave, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. And Nina, what's up? She's got her show here. Think today. Dave Sullivan. Felix, how are you? Felix the cat. Yeah. Morph the cat is I was just thinking that Steely Dan had a song, it's like Morph the cat. Anyway, I digress. Truth, what's up? Good to see you, Mary Wins. How are you as well, Jackie? Good to see you. Speaking favor over us all. Nothing missing, nothing broken. That favor thing happens. It's activated all the time. I mean, if you speak it, words are seeds, right? Words have power. Words create. So if you speak favor over yourself and over other people, see, I get to speak it least 1,000 people are hearing it, more, and that's 1,000 seeds every day. Get to the other side. It's like the spirit guide told me. You got the favor thing all over. You're gonna have this big word, favor, favor. Anyway, speak it, believe it, and live it. That's the way I like to do it. New America, all new again. How are you doing? Good to see you. So, Lost in Space, what's up? Um, but it's true. Words count. And Rick, I got to tell you, that is just good, good, good news. I'm happy for you, dude. Uh, Gives you kind of a lift, doesn't it? Yeah. Hello there, Stephanie Marie. How are you? Good to see you as well. So, it's still cold outside. So I have the REM pod going here. I wanted to see how much spirit activity. When I did the interview with Mike and Cindy over at Evolutionary Healing Arts, I had the REM pod going the full time and it stayed really quiet, which is cool. It's a cool thing. So I just thought today, since we're going to be talking about these beings, um, yeah, yeah, let's see if they come by and visit us. I mean, if that thing goes off like all of it, all, yeah, then we know. It's like, okay. Um, and we're going to be talking about Dorothy Wilkinson-Izatt. I don't know if you've ever read her book or subsequently seen the documentary that was done on her life. Um, Remarkable. Henrik was there, the guy who headed up Project Blue Book. He said it was the top number one authentic communication existence of another type of life. And again, we're so limited in our perceptions. And as the main graphic, those are beings. And we're going to get more into it. And just a little background in case those of you who don't know who Dorothy is and her story. She lives up in Canada. Um, she was alive during World War II and in Hong Kong and moved to Canada and was married, had her family. And as she, and I watched the documentary and I was just, you listen to this story and then you see the subsequent evidence. Um, yeah. And the fact that Dr. Henrik was there and supervised a lot of this, and the end result that what came out was A, they're smarter than us. They exist. They have personalities. Um, they seem to have a lot of knowledge about us, and they actually feel very sad for us. They feel from when you read the book, um, they said, and this is my vernacular, is summing it up. Their message is that you humans, you're so downtrodden. You've been beaten down, and you don't realize where you are as a species. And it would, by all the evidence of what they're trying to say, is we're here. I did a little experiment myself. Bentley and I go out about, 5 o'clock in the morning, thereabouts. And so just spending like 3 minutes, all I did was stand out near the woods and just kind of closed my eyes, looked up, had Bentley on the leash. If he sees something out in the woods, and I'm not really into running at that time in the morning, but just cleared my mind and just was thinking good thoughts of welcoming, um, just thinking the awesomeness that there is intelligence of such a level way beyond mine, but that the fact that they have empathy and concern for us, and they put the invitation out there, and sure enough, off into the western sky, there was a light, and the stars are quite beautiful out here. I don't have much light pollution, so I really get to see them there. And I see satellites all the time. I'm like, geez, man, it's crowded up there. But yeah, so um, I'm going to continue this. It's pretty good. I'm using Dr. Gear's material as well in just clearing the mind. So, anyway, there you go. Hello, fireflies. What's up? Uh, and you can try it. So we're going to get into this because, and I encourage you, if you have one of the streaming services, or buy the book. It's available on Kindle, electronic format, or wherever you buy books at. And the book is, wow, that is very interesting. All right. All right. I get the message. Wow. Well, we're not here alone. Hmm. Okay. So, um, getting back, The book is Contact with Beings of Light by Dorothy Wilkinson-Izatt. And again, if you have the streaming service, check out the movie. It is well worth it. So let's just kind of get into it because we're going to kind of jump a little bit from here to there. But I thought where we would start off at first. And by the way, have Jenny on tomorrow. I have a list already of a number of people. So Jenny, again, thanks, hon. Okay, okay. I'm just going to have to turn this off. There's activity all around here. So this is Dorothy. Um, this was taken with Dr. J. Allen Heinrich. Again, if you're familiar with Project Blue book, then you recognize this very quickly. And so, how this started was very innocent enough. Um, she saw these lights, and they seemed to be independent. There seemed to be something more than just a light. Um, and so she picked up an 8 millimeter, super 8 millimeter camera and started just filming. It is said that she has probably the most 30,000 feet of film of affirmation that there is something out there. Um, and this is the story. It's a cool story. So she picks it up, and and the interview is asking her, did you feel anything physically? And she said it's hard to explain. It started when I first saw them, and even more so after I picked up my camera and started filming with it. Sometimes something happens, like some sort of energy transference. I don't know how they do it. It's all so quick, so fast. Of course, sometimes the light's so bright it hurts my eyes a little. The interview says, well, do you believe you're in communication with the lights? And Dorothy answers, oh dear, I suppose. Dorothy insisted, not sure of how her answer would settle in the mind of practical scientists. And she went on, she says, well, yes, I think so because I do know when they're there. I sometimes see a flash of light inside the house, and at other times I just sense them and start filming. When you see those bright white flashes on the films, I think that's when they're sending me something of some sort of talking to me. And we're going to look at some of the film. And what makes this remarkable was the technology didn't exist to you keep it's very to try to manipulate 8 millimeter film is very, very hard and difficult to do. But particularly because of how they communicate. And with 8 millimeter film, 16 frames per second, um, they insert on a single frame an image. Quite, and you, if you want to watch the movie, you'll love it. Um, Said Henrik looked at Dorothy for a long time, thoughtful for a moment. Well, clearly you have something of potential scientific value here because he came out when she wrote to them and he had heard about this as a thing and he was wrapping up with Project Blue Book. So it's interesting in the timing. And again, she reached out because she didn't know who else to reach out to. And again, back in the 70s, folks. Um, he said, but I must admit, at the moment, I'm hard pressed to suggest an explanation. These are obviously lights in the sky. They do not appear to identifiable sources. Why so many so often, particularly to the favor of a single observer, is the question. And yet, two important conditions have been met: a reliable witness and a genuine photographic evidence of what was seen. It should be pursued. So, and she did. And as they went through, he began to say, well, here's something that I suggest you could do. Um, get another camera. Let's make sure that this is not something um, that, malfunction of a camera. They did bring in a camera expert who did take apart the first camera, and there was nothing wrong with it. So there were many people who came with ideas. As word began to spread, more people became more inclined to believe her. So here is in January of 1976, on his way back to Illinois after a business trip to Vancouver, Dr. Hynek met with Dorothy again. It had been nearly a year since their first meeting, and he was pleased with the quality of the films. This time, he left with several samples for analysis, and on May 5th, sent the following letter from his offices at Northwestern University. Dear Dorothy, I have now made a study of the films I brought back with me. The pictures remain very puzzling, not only for me, but to our photographic expert, Mr. Fred Beckman. There is one possibility that must be ruled out before we can make any definite decisions about the photography. In some cameras, the film will momentarily stick on one frame with the shutter open, and then hand motion will cause very interesting patterns. I have done this deliberately with theater lights, keeping the shutter open for several seconds, and have obtained patterns resembling yours. I do not think this is the case here, but it must be completely ruled out. Good science, right? This can be done by employing a second, completely independent camera. And if the same thing occurs again, then it rules out a faulty camera. If this possible cause is ruled out, then Mr. Beckman and I are quite willing to take this one on as a research problem. Mr. Beckman has raised another point. Is it necessary to always take these pictures from the same window? Now that the weather is good, could these photos be taken outdoor with no obstruction, whatever in front of the camera? And he said, rest assured, both Mr. Beckman and I seriously are interested in the Izatt phenomenon. So she did it. And outside, guess what? They still showed up. And what was interesting is during the interview process, when they came back, is what happened to Dorothy's daughter, who was now, I guess, in her 40s. Uh, and that kind of blew everybody away because it was as if they knew what was going on. Um, The story goes on that she continued to accumulate footage over the next 14 months. Gradually, during that period, a new and exciting phase emerged in her relationship with the mysterious visitors. For the first time, a particular group of beings made themselves evident in both form and substance. However, Dorothy's initial attempts to capture them on film proved futile. In every instance, the camera inexplicably failed to operate. Its mechanisms jammed or the battery suddenly lost power. Dorothy said she felt they were blocking my attempts to film them, and it concerned me. But I soon realized it was just a matter of timing. The time wasn't right for them to appear on film. I think they wanted me to get accustomed to seeing them in a form I could recognize. sort of preparing me for some way. Then, on December 10th, 1977, while filming an immense white glowing sphere, Dorothy asked the intelligence behind or within the light to show her what they looked like. There was a sudden flash, and as the object moved abruptly to the left, a face appeared beside it. The Alpham face was clearly visible to the right of the object. A pronounced forehead, deep set eyes, cheeks, and even the nostrils showed plainly. Dorothy knew somehow that this was one of the many types of being that populate the universe. And we have a picture of this. I want to get what she wrote in her journal. She said, um, January 11th, 1978, Dorothy wrote, I feel now that I am in the constant and very strong communication with the overseers. Interesting term. I call them light beings. They are all light beings in a sense, but not all are the light beings, capital L, capital B. The light beings don't look like aliens or what we've come to think of as aliens. They're made of light and are quite majestic in appearance, sort of what we might think as angelic. Interesting, isn't it? And I can hear some of you thinking, so angelic, so are they tied to a god? Is it a god? Well, what's it? It goes, are you gods? The next time, answer Ray, yes, we're a god. So this is the sketch of the face. Now, I saw this and I immediately went back to two of my favorite uh, sci-fi shows, The Twilight Zone. And as y'all wrote yesterday in the comments, it is Sterling. It was never Sterling. I mean, what the? But anyway, but more importantly, I've seen this face before, and it was in The Outer Limits. Do not be alarmed. We have taken control of your, television, So we're going to be telling a vision because that's what television does. Interesting face, isn't it? They seem to be in control, like directors, I guess. I can ask them anything, and they give me the answer. Kind of like Google, isn't it? I can say that I want to see something or know something, and they almost always give me what I ask for. I mean, these are the type of beings you want on your side. It's like, hey, how y'all doing? Yeah, speak favor over you. Let's talk. If I ask to see a UFO, they arrange for a UFO to show up. If I ask to see what the beings inside the UFO look like, they show it to me. And guess what? If you watch the documentary, yep, there was something looking back out of that port window. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think that if I was one of these interdimensional beings, right? And now um, I'm going to Earth. We got the assignment. It's like far out. So we're waiting for the time, right? For the when the command is given. And it says showtime. And here they come in their craft. Now, I thought about this long and hard, and I said, well, they'd have to be able to travel something to beyond like what we measure light with, a light year. So what are they using for propulsion? It appears that there's something even above our comprehension of light. And apparently, our science is still in its infancy. We don't understand light. And even if you say that you're on the esoteric side of it, we still don't understand light. I mean, doesn't it say in the Bible that Satan can appear as an angel of light and be a light being? What does that mean? Define light being. I mean, is the reference of some manuscript being replayed here? It's an interesting thought. Um, but getting back to these other life forms, and here they're in the ship looking there at her house, and they know exactly where she's standing because they got the picture as well. And I'm going, so what is their observation? I mean, they see us in our corporeal form. Yeah. And I guess the other thing I've come to discover in a sense that these beings can appear as bipedal or they can appear as a orb. Cool stuff. Um, if I ask about something in the world that might be happening, they show me and explain while it's happening. I mean, I want to be in this group. I don't care what you say. That is a far out group. I mean, these cats, they understand time in a fashion that I don't even know if we're scratching the surface. Um, I've experienced such warmth and love when they're present that I'm certain they are angels or very spiritual in nature. And it would be it makes sense because for Dorothy in her time, Christianity uh, was the religion. Perfect sense to me. I mean, when I saw whatever that being was there at Grace back in the day, along with a dozen or more in the audience, yeah, what were we witnessing? Um, and the fact that she also has this energy and this vibration that is so in tune to love and the warmth. Another interesting term because it's the polar opposite of what you would hear with humans dealing with negative entities. It's cold, and you certainly ain't feeling the love. Where did the love? It's like it ain't around here. When I'm sad or worried, they show up out of nowhere to comfort me. Hmm. They have form now, and sometimes they take shape in my house. It's not a scary thing at all because they've always been respectful. They don't pull at me or do things to me. They've always kept a respectful distance. To me, this should be a checklist. If you're out in the astrals or if you're into invoking, channeling, uh, binding, loosing, um, this would be a list that, spirits manifesting. So what am I looking at here? Is it this? If it's not on one of these, then that should tell you, no, thank you. Um, so This is a picture of a window appeared on the side of a disc-shaped craft. In the window, several entities appeared. One was near and held what seemed to be a clipboard-like object, and there they are. Again, I can stare into those eyes, and my consciousness, my intellect, I want to look through his eyes, or I don't even know what gender, if they even have a gender. I wonder how they would perceive me. How would they perceive you? Would they find you compassionate, honest, trustworthy, respectful? No, no. Interesting though, isn't it? Um, she says I've tried to film them when they've been indoors close to me with shape and form, but the films don't come out as clearly as when they appeared in the form of a bright light. They've got the shape of a luminous person standing there, very tall and shimmering. I don't know if they're really what they really look like. If I says if they really look like that, or if they take on a human-like form, because it's easier for me to understand. I would lean to the latter. You know, it's something that's familiar, so there's a familiarity between both parties. I don't know. I've asked them if they are ghosts or spirits of people who have passed away, and their answer is no. Now, let's just stop there a second because it's that question, is death universal? I mean, do these beings that are on a total different life, I don't even know what they're made of. I mean, if it's light, I mean, define light for me. Just because something is bright doesn't mean that it's light. Um, but this case, it seems to be a living light. And they have, obviously, they've observed us for a long time, and they have the understanding of this thing that I don't know if it's just on this earth, death. No, no. Uh, she wrote, she says, I see what I see is what they are and what they've always been, beings of light. They don't mind if I film them. So I'll continue to try, but as of yet, I still can't photograph them as well in solid form as in the forms of light. Then the story goes on that they return. This is Dorothy was filming a bright light in the sky when it suddenly vanished in a dazzling burst. The developed film shows this apparent landscape scene of hills with foliage in the foreground, in a sea or body of water with lights in the background. Dr. J. Allen Hynek suggested it might be a glimpse of the object's home world as it passed through a window or portal in time and space. And just let that sink in a minute. And again, get a chance, watch the documentary. And it's mind expanding to think that we may be looking at another reality, another world, another dimension where there are certain laws of physics that apply to the visual eye, which means substance of what makes up matter goes beyond just this world, this universe. It would suggest that in other dimensions, there are laws of physics that seem to apply, at least from a snapshot, there as well. And then, as the traveler I look at that and I want to project myself and begin to thinking, all right, so what would that world be like? I mean, I definitely would stand out, so would you. But yeah, so I want to continue to go there. This is an extraterrestrial doing something to the outside of his craft. I love this. I wonder, do you buy those? Um, do they use a form of currency? I mean, if you're going to make an interdimensional ship, I guess you'd have to be really good engineer, right? I mean, how many of you, if your car broke down, could you fix it? If you have a modern car, it's almost virtually impossible because everything is computerized. But I'm thinking in here, all right, so what do you do? Do they just make a ship? Do they have a government? Do they have something? Because they're manufacturing. Got no idea how they're doing it, but they're manufacturing something. And it would appear that you would have to have a pretty good working knowledge of engineering, mechanical, uh, uh, not even to figure out how the hell do you figure out the star charts, or do you even use it? Is it simply a super galactic highway of just thought? But it appears that there could be beings of a certain form, certain matter, that need ships in order to travel. It seems others don't need those ships. And I mean, do they have different styles, different models? Can you get an upgrade? I mean, does it have seat warmers? Because this solves the whole thing about distance and time. You have this ability to almost be in interdimensions almost instantaneously. Speed of light. There we go. I want to read this little part. It says, as time passed, a kind of paging system developed between Dorothy and the visitors, which tells me I think Dorothy may have had her third eye fully awakened. They usually came when I wanted to see them, and when they wanted to see me, they'd beam a light at me. At other times, I'd hear a very high-pitched, piercing sound. Most people couldn't hear it, but our dog could, and his ears would stand up. When they turned on the sound, it was as if they were saying, we want to see you, Dorothy, or there's something here for you. The objects often moved as tiny balls of light and became larger and closer. As the sighting progressed, sometimes growing to the apparent size of the full moon. And despite an occasional resemblance to UFO photographs from other sources, Dorothy's photographs stood alone for these three reasons. One, the images were in motion on 8 millimeter film, movie film. This offered the viewing equivalent of having been there when the film was shot. Two, the sheer volume. By 1979, Dorothy had accumulated over 100 reels. Three, while filming, one or two lights that, to the eye, appeared to be hovering or moving slowly, a quick, blinding flash of light would occur at intervals. Then later, when the developed film was paused on a single frame in the projector, beautiful, multicolored, kinetic shafts of light appeared that coincided with the bright flashes seen during the filming. These trails of moving light were remarkable not only for their beauty, but also for the mind boggling speed achieved by the object or objects that produced them. Sometimes there were hundreds of instances of multi-directional movement in the time it took for a single frame of film to pass the camera's shutter. That's 1/18th of a second. No conventional or natural object could maneuver and change direction multiple times at that speed in such a confined area, period. Dorothy described the typical light event. Often the little ones, the small lights, will beam at the larger ones. There's usually a big light nearby, and the larger ones will beam at the little ones. It seems as if some sort of conversation is going on between them. Eventually, the small lights will move up close to the larger light. I've noticed a few times that when the small lights are through with what they're doing, they want to move on. They'll go up to the larger light and disappear. Apparently, before they can leave, wherever they go, maybe to another dimension or what have you, they have to go and connect with the larger light. Then bang, they're gone. And so, as you can see down in the corner, this is hundreds of movements of a single object on one frame of Super 8 movie film in 1/18th of a second with no bleed over onto adjoining frames, meaning the frames before and the frames after are blank. Now, I've seen this, and I'm pretty well convinced within my point of view that she captured a life form, an intelligence, way beyond us. And so, if you buy the book, it even comes in quite more clear. So, goes on to say how the fact that this could be done is just, it can't. So here is what we're talking about. Here is in one frame. Then in frame 2, look what happens. And then in frame 3, there's nothing. So the 3 frames of Super 8 film greatly enlarged. A object appears in the upper frame as a small ball of light. The second frame or flash frame shows the same object but larger and more brilliant as it produces a sudden burst of movement in on one frame. The third frame is empty. Wow. Man, where's the time gone? So, I wanted to bring this out because, again, her experience, and this is a ship, as you can see from the light to where, and it has that classic saucer. I mean, I looked at this and I went, wow. Um, she began to catch her other phenomenon. Goes into why it was her and what have you. So, anyway, I did all that to simply say that Adriel says, "Hi, Wayne. How are you?" I just read that. I'm still have this happening with me. Contact every day from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep, ever since Patrick gave me that reading. Wow. Now that is phenomenal. Hey, off the hook, how you doing? So, this is phenomenal stuff because I was thinking about this. So, the end of her story is still going on, but because when they were doing the interview, for instance, with her daughter, who was standing at the sink and she's facing the camera, and I missed it the first time. I saw it, but it didn't register to me. And it just goes to show you how something that you immediately, it's the pareidolia. It's like, well, no, that's just part of the background. But as they're talking to her in this interview, hey, it's like watching, the Close Encounters of the Third Time, and the you see this light come in, and then you see they change her head, the angle to where they're talking, and she turns her head, and this light shows up over here, and then it comes back, and then it does this number, and then it goes like this, and it shows they have a sense of humor because they didn't, it was not planned. They just was doing an interview to be part of the documentary, and there they are. So apparently we can do that. How many of you remember? Oh, it's been 7, 8 years ago when I interviewed John Miller. John Miller had in his um, captures been on paranormal, captured on camera, many other sources. And when John came on, he explained how he does it. And there are others like John that can call these lights in on command. And so, having seen Dorothy's story about contact with the beings of light, it appears that there is a campaign taking place in our time. And in fact, it's ratcheting up. Speculation on my part, strictly speculation, but I think something's about to happen. And I'm talking something globally. And I believe my spirit bears witness to this, that this group, I believe we can make contact. There may be some of you who they want to talk to, but it appears that it's growing. And the commonality that I am finding is that you really have to quiet your mind. You have to also believe. If you go in there with unbelief, well, it's kind of counterproductive. But if you show the same compassion, now I always speak favor to them. I don't know what other greeting I could say that would convey a sense of empathy, um, acceptance. So clearing your mind, believing that they are and they do exist, and then simply almost as a mantra, just welcome them. I say, I welcome you, and it's about that simple. And I think the better you get at this, the more apt it is that you're going to get a manifestation. And I'm saying all this because it really does appear that there is something about to happen. I mean, we've been talking about this for a decade, but all things do come to an end, including our existence. And so if in fact they are angels, if they are Interdimensional travelers, if they are the overseers, humanity isn't that bright. I'm just saying. And today we're really not bright. I mean, it's like, geez, what the hell happened to the common sense? It's gone. Hey, Cody. The forces of chaos are called chaos for a reason. They're chaotic. Impeccable logic. How do you argue that, right? Indeed. Susie Q, how you doing, sweetie? It's a cookbook. I remember that Twilight Zone. Yeah. Um, Good point, Deborah. Hummingbird, 8,700 hugs and welcomes. I like that. It's kind of like the song of the Moody Blues album, and I think it's to our children's children, and it says, with the force of 10 billion butterfly sneezes. It's like, yeah. Now that would be a force of reckoning, would it not? Um, what else going on? How y'all doing in the but also meditation with intentions. Grammar, I agree with you on that. That is the point. Yeah. And for myself, what I found standing out there, particularly in we just had a cold morning. It was, frost everywhere, but the sky was freaking clear. And so I can see Scorpio, I can see, the Big Dipper, and I can get the orientation lay of the land. And so the first couple of nights when I was out there, there's so many freaking satellites out there. I mean, it's like, what the hell? It's like, does everybody just simply got a satellite up there? But again, the first little success I had, it was just a little light and just didn't stay long. Looked there but it gave me enough encouragement to say I can do this. Now, I can only make the call. It's dependent on someone picking up on the other end. Like, hello. Jackie says, Wayne, my grandma's name is also Dorothy, and she would be turning 94 on April 28th. That's my wife's birthday, by the way. She was a wise lady and still has a healthy mind. Yes, 94. Fantastic. Well, Jackie, that runs in your bloodline then. That's cool. Um, yeah, but that's Lynn's birthday, so that is so cool. Susie Q says, "Hello, you awesome people." We are awesome. We just a cool, groovy group. Um, yeah. So I just put it out there. I mean, it's not a group thing, although it'd be kind of cool. You could do it in your own time zone, couldn't you? Or something like that. But if you decide to do it individually, let me know. It'd be very cool to find out what you actually come up with because they're interdimensional beings. And to me, and maybe it's just me, but I got the vibe, I got the vibration within me is that I didn't sense any fear on this. None. And it's like we were talking with the ladies yesterday on intelligence. So intelligence seeks intelligence. And I think it's a great compliment to humanity that there are other species out there that see our potential. It's like, thank you, thank you. Glad you're not going to blow our ass up, but and they see that. And again, I think the message is urgent. And I don't know, in this extended family, there are a lot of enlightened individuals. We're not neophytes. We're truly initiates, but knowledge seeks knowledge. And I can't help but not think, all right, so if I look at myself as a spirit, then I look at myself as an immortal being, right? Um, do they see it the same way? And if we pass, if death is just another dimension, and then I'm asking myself, so if they can appear in this dimension, in this spatial space time, I wonder if they could do it where the dead is concerned. That other dimension, that the veil between this one and that one. Can they transcend that veil? Is there intelligence of such a level and height that they can see in both dimensions? A part of me would say, I would think that would be correct. Um, well, thank you, Monkey Experiment. I just might do that because intelligence seeks intelligence. In fact, that is a good T-shirt. Thank you. I mean, I had to turn the rim pod off. It was like, hey, I like that. Yeah. Give me a second here. Okay. There we go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mel. I appreciate that. When I was 5 or 6, Blazing River says, I watched this Outer Limits with my dad. That's the one. Yeah. Remember they were in the silver thing? Yeah. On the show came to my, oh, later that night. Wow. Well, I mean, it's odd. So, oh man, there is so much I want to cover here. But hey, Gaia, how you doing, dear? Good to see you. How's Paul? Barbara, what's up? Yeah, yeah. That's so cool. All right, so I wanted to show you as well because there was other things in here. So may go a little bit over. Who knows? Anything's possible. Ba-da-da-ba-boom. Oh, nope, didn't want that one. Y'all just continue to smoke them if you got them. Um, sure, whatever. Okay. Uh, all right. So, communication with extraterrestrial intelligence. This is a white paper, but I, let's just give this some consideration. It says we're not alone in the universe. A few years ago, this notion seemed far-fetched. Today, the existence of extraterrestrial intelligence is taken for granted by most scientists. Even the staid National Academy of Sciences has gone on record that contact with other civilization is no longer something beyond our dreams, but a natural event in the history of mankind that will perhaps occur in the lifetime of many of us. Boom, mic drop. That's a hell of an admission. 20, a score ago, they'd be like hell. That's exactly what they'd be saying in the academic world. Sir Bernard Lovell, one of the world's leading radio astronomers, has calculated that even allowing for a margin of error of 500%, there must be in our galaxy about 100 million stars which have planets of the right chemistry, dimensions, and temperature to support organic evolution. If we consider that our own galaxy, the Milky Way, is but one of at least a billion other galaxies similar to ours in the observable universe, the number of stars that could support some form of life is to reach for a word astronomical. As to advanced forms of life, advanced by our own miserable Earth standards, Dr. Frank D. Drake of the National Radio Astronomy Observatory at Green Bank, West Virginia, has stated that putting all our knowledge together, the number of civilizations which could have arisen by now is about 1 billion. The next question is, where is everybody? The nearest neighbor to our solar system is Alpha Centauri, only 4.3 light years away. But according to Dr. Shushu Hong of the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, its planetary system is probably too young for the emergence of life. Two other heavenly friends, Epsilon Edenai and Two Centauri, about 11 light years away, are stronger contenders for harboring life. Nevertheless, if superior civilizations are abundant, nearest would probably be 100 light years away. So 1 light year is basically 6 trillion miles. Therefore, it would take 200 years for a reply to be forthcoming, a small matter of 7 generations. This should, however, make little difference to us in view of the enormous potential gain from our contact with a superior civilization. Now, this all ties in, because with this knowledge, and I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to go over a little bit on, because I just want to get this last little piece in. Unless we are terribly conceited, a very unscientific demeanor, we must assume that the others are far more advanced than we are. Even a 50-year gap would be tremendous. A 500-year gap staggers the imagination. And as far for a 5,000-year gap, by the way, if they are as much as 50 years behind us, forget it. It is quite possible that others have satellite probes in space, retransmitting to them anything that sounds non-random to the probe. But they have probably called us several thousand years ago and are waiting for an answer. Or worse yet, they have given up. Or more probably, they have reached such impressive technological advances that they have destroyed themselves. In this connection, Professor Izov Shklovsky, Russia's greatest radio astronomer, has cited the profound crisis which lie in wait for developing civilization, any one of which may well prove fatal. 1. Self-destruction as a result of thermonuclear catastrophe or some other discovery which may have unpredictable and uncontrollable consequences. 2. Genetic danger. 3. Overpopulation, overproduction of information. Boy, aren't we already in there? Yesterday, yeah. 4. Restricted capacity of the individual's brain, which can lead to excessive specialization with consequent dangers of degeneration. And finally, a crisis precipitated by the creation of artificial intelligent beings. So, I just wanted to read that little tidbit, because now you have to add in to this AI factor. Is it the reason why we're seeing more people stating that they're making contact with something? If you need this later, the galaxy bean That is the outer limbs. Thank you. I remember that. Yeah. So are they here to an ark? Maybe a lifeline? What if they can see and already anticipate we're not mature enough as a species to handle AI? I mean, just because you can build it does not mean that you need to build it. And I mean by that, we may think we're intelligent, but we're very stupid. We've done something that's very stupid. And it's the Pandora box. We can't get it back in. Maybe they know this. And maybe there's others like this. You know, right now, our government and these social media platforms listen to every word. They know who I am. They know my mother's maiden name. They know everything. They know yours as well. And they have linked you to this type of wavelength, this type of vibration, and it's being cataloged. We're right now being observed as to what is it. They find, believe it or not, they find channels like this to be far more interesting than the blah, 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 blah of most, podcasters talking about politics, blah, 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 religion, blah, 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 blah. No, they're listening to these type of channels because they want us to see how far are we going to take this? And they know as well that there's something else out there. So in essence, if they monitoring us and we're talking about increased activity of making contact with an extraterrestrial intelligence, now you got NSA, CIA, you've got, national security, defense, it just goes right down the line. Every one of us. Yeah. John Price says, I go to the barbecue with Haley all the time. Yeah, I tell you, I agree. Mike says, I speak peace and favor and prosperity over everyone. Yeah, that's what you got to say. It's like, yeah, it's like, hey guys, listen, we're just talking here, But seriously, as I exit out of this and remember tomorrow with Jenny, and I have the list here. I mean, I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, yeah, about 9. I'm sure there's more, but if you're there, and make sure to check in. Hey, Lilith, how are you? So, tracking the God miracles. There we go. I like that. Uh, well, that's very good, Corey. Just extra delivering from the quality of this group should give full confidence to the fact that humanity has made the cut for a new paradigm. I would agree with that. All right, folks, much love to you. Thank you. We're the Earthlings who cultivate peace and love. Exactly. Deborah, add your name to that. I think I may have. I'll do that right now, dear. Okay. Do, do, do. There we go. It's down. All right. Mary Wynn says, love one. That's exactly. Well, Brian, thank you, sir. Thank you for hanging out all this length of time. Now I'm going to go and make some homemade salsa. Yeah. Grace, thank you. Mork and Mindy come to mind. Nanu, Nanu. Yes, yes. Right there with you. Hey, Emperor Rex, peace be with you. And that's something I think we can all do. Aliens aren't welcome unless they can improve our water quality. I agree. How about just cleaning the water? I mean, God, we've made a mess of this place. And I contend that AI is, that genie's out of that bottle. Ain't never coming back in. Hell no. Lilith says, if the ark was here before the floods, maybe they came down from. Hey, very good point. Hey, Trina, good to see you, hon. Much love to you. Uh, all right, everybody. Tune in tomorrow. Got Miss Jenny, and I think it's gonna be fun. We'll get on that list. That's all I got to say. Auntie Queenie, good to see you. We are adding names to it. The beach picnic. Yes, exactly. I love it. Yeah. I mean, I do believe that there's this intelligence out there. I really do. I think it's arrogant to say that we be the only one. That that we would be the measure by which intelligence is defined. Oh, shit. All right, folks. Much love to you. See you tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you for hitting the like button. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for subscribing, which I figured you already have. All right. Until then, way to go, Rick. Adriel, thank you. Well, thank you. That's